A bowl of raw spinach, a green smoothie, and a plate of sliced tomatoes. That is what a careful, health-conscious person over 60 might eat for breakfast and lunch, and in doing so, unknowingly increase their risk of kidney stones through excessive oxalates and potentially stress their digestive system in ways that matter more after 60. Not because they made poor choices, because they followed advice designed for a 35-year-old body. Here is the reality most nutrition content never addresses. After 60, your biology is not the same biology that the standard dietary guidelines were built for. Your gut processes food differently. Your kidneys filter at a reduced rate. Your thyroid may be more vulnerable in specific circumstances. Your inflammatory baseline is already elevated. And certain vegetables, ones carrying genuine health halos, interact with that changed biology in ways that warrant careful attention. I'm Dr. Ava Collins, and this is the Eternal Vigor Way. Today we're covering 6 vegetables, 3 you need to approach with caution after 60, 3 that are among the most protective foods you can eat at this stage of life. And the third vegetable in the protective category, the one we'll get to around minute 7, involves a mechanism for brain health that stopped me completely when I first read the research. Stay through the end. The most important information is not first. Before we name a single vegetable, you need the biological context, because without it, the recommendations sound arbitrary. With it, they become obvious. After 60, 4 specific physiological shifts change how your body handles food. First, inflammaging. A term coined by immunologist Claudio Franceschi at the University of Bologna, describing the chronic, low-grade inflammatory state that characterizes biological aging. This persistent systemic simmer drives virtually every major chronic disease affecting older adults. Cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, cognitive decline, arthritis, and certain cancers. Anything that feeds that inflammatory fire is not a neutral food choice at this age. It is important to note that vegetables as a whole, even those we discuss with caution, are generally anti-inflammatory foods. Our caution is about specific preparation methods and quantities, not about eliminating vegetables from your plate. Second, declining kidney function. Glomerular filtration rate, the measure of how efficiently your kidneys filter blood, declines progressively after 40 and more sharply after 60. This affects your ability to excrete certain plant compounds, including oxalates, that a younger kidney handles without difficulty. Third, thyroid vulnerability in specific circumstances. Hypothyroidism becomes increasingly common after 60, particularly in women. It is important to clarify. Raw cruciferous vegetables can inhibit iodine uptake, but this becomes a meaningful concern primarily in individuals who already have severe iodine deficiency, not in the general population eating a balanced diet. For most people, normal quantities of vegetables do not pose a thyroid risk. Fourth, gut architecture changes. The intestinal lining thins. Beneficial microbiome populations decline. Digestive enzyme output decreases. Certain fibrous compounds that were easily processed at 40 now cause chronic digestive stress, with downstream effects on nutrient absorption, immune function, and systemic inflammation. These 4 shifts are why vegetable advice cannot be age agnostic. The same plant, in the same quantity, eaten raw versus cooked, can be harder to process at 65 than at 35. Caution 1. Raw spinach in large quantities. Spinach is extraordinarily nutritious. Iron, folate, vitamin K, antioxidants. The profile is impressive, and I am not suggesting you eliminate it. What I am saying is that raw spinach consumed in very large quantities is one of the higher dietary sources of oxalates. Oxalates are naturally occurring plant compounds that, in a fully functioning younger kidney, are processed and excreted without issue. After 60, that processing becomes less efficient. Oxalates bind to calcium in the kidneys, forming calcium oxalate crystals. the primary component of kidney stones. Older adults are more vulnerable to kidney stone formation than younger adults. The key concern here is kidney stones, not joint inflammation. Oxalates do not accumulate in joint tissue or cause arthritis. The specific risk is renal. The straightforward correction? Cooking spinach reduces its oxalate content significantly. A quick sauté in olive oil with garlic is not only safer, it is delicious. Moderate consumption of raw spinach is fine for most people. For anyone with a history of kidney stones or kidney disease, a direct conversation with your physician about dietary oxalate load is warranted. Caution 2. Raw cruciferous vegetables in very large quantities. Broccoli, kale, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower. These are among the most nutritionally powerful foods that exist. Their glucosinolate content converts to anti-cancer compounds that are documented and significant. These vegetables actively reduce inflammation and protect your health. I am not telling you to avoid them. The nuance involves goitrogens, compounds that can inhibit iodine uptake. However, this effect is clinically relevant primarily in people who already have severe iodine deficiency, not in the general population eating a balanced diet. For most adults over 60, normal quantities of cruciferous vegetables do not meaningfully suppress thyroid function. If you have diagnosed hypothyroidism or known severe iodine deficiency, discuss your dietary patterns with your physician. But for the general population, this is not a reason to fear these vegetables. The practical concern with raw cruciferous vegetables is mechanical. The fibrous structure is genuinely harder for an aging digestive system to process. The bloating and gas are real, and chronic digestive stress has downstream effects. Cooking resolves this. Steaming or roasting transforms the fiber into a form the aging gut handles with ease. Roasted Brussels sprouts and broccoli are excellent. Caution 3. Nightshade vegetables, a nuanced picture. Tomatoes, bell peppers, eggplant, and white potatoes belong to the botanical family called nightshades. They contain alkaloid compounds, including solanine, which function as the plant's natural defense system. It is important to be precise. Nightshade vegetables do not cause joint inflammation or arthritis in the general population. This is a common misconception. Vegetables as a whole, including nightshades, are anti-inflammatory foods and are beneficial for most people over 60. The actual concern is specific. Some individuals with existing inflammatory conditions, particularly rheumatoid arthritis, may be sensitive to nightshade alkaloids. This is an individual sensitivity, not a universal effect. If you are managing joint inflammation and suspect a food sensitivity, a 4 to 6 week elimination trial can help you identify whether nightshades are a trigger for you personally. For most people, they should remain part of a healthy diet. There is a well-supported concern with raw tomatoes specifically. Their acidity can worsen acid reflux and GERD, conditions that become more prevalent with age. Cooking tomatoes reduces this issue and actually increases the bioavailability of lycopene, their primary antioxidant. Slow-cooked tomato sauce delivers more protective compounds than raw tomatoes do. Protective 1. Garlic. Garlic belongs at the top of any evidence-based list of foods specifically beneficial for adults over 60. The active compound, allicin, is produced when garlic is crushed or chopped. Multiple controlled studies have demonstrated that regular garlic consumption produces measurable reductions in blood pressure. It reduces LDL cholesterol while improving HDL. It reduces platelet aggregation, directly lowering the risk of cardiac and cerebrovascular events. Garlic also has a meaningful prebiotic effect, selectively feeding beneficial bacterial strains, particularly Bifidobacterium and Lactobacillus, associated with reduced inflammation and improved metabolic function. There is also growing neuroprotective evidence. Organosulfur compounds in garlic may protect neurons from oxidative damage and slow age-related cognitive decline. To maximize allicin, Crush or chop garlic and allow it to rest for 10 minutes before applying heat. 2 to 3 cloves daily, in moderate and consistent amounts, is the dose supported by the research. Protective 2. Cooked dark leafy greens. Approximately 1 in 2 women and 1 in 4 men over 50 will sustain a fracture attributable to osteoporosis during their remaining lifetime. Bone health is a survival concern. Bok choy, collard greens, mustard greens, and turnip greens provide well-absorbed calcium and contribute meaningfully to bone health as part of a varied diet. To be accurate, dairy products remain one of the most bioavailable and efficient calcium sources available, and these greens are not superior to dairy overall. However, for adults who do not consume dairy, these cooked greens are an excellent and important alternative source of calcium. These vegetables are also rich in vitamin K, which plays a supporting role in calcium metabolism and bone health. Research suggests vitamin K may contribute to reducing arterial calcification as part of an overall healthy dietary pattern, though it works as part of a broader nutritional framework, not as a standalone intervention. An important note on fat. Vitamin K is fat-soluble and requires dietary fat for absorption. This is a reason to use healthy fats, olive oil, avocado, nuts, when cooking these greens. Avoiding fats entirely when eating fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, K can lead to deficiency. Healthy fats are your ally here. Protective 3. Beets. One of the least discussed drivers of cognitive decline is reduced cerebral blood flow. As arteries stiffen with age, regions of the brain begin receiving less oxygen and fewer nutrients. Memory becomes less reliable. Processing speed slows. Executive function begins to decline. Beets are one of the richest dietary sources of naturally occurring inorganic nitrates. These nitrates are converted by oral bacteria to nitrites and then further converted in the body to nitric oxide, a molecule that causes blood vessels to dilate and blood flow to increase. Researchers at Wake Forest University found that older adults who consumed beet juice before exercise showed increased blood flow to the white matter of the frontal lobes, visible on functional MRI scans. The specific region showing the most pronounced improvement was the area most associated with working memory, decision-making, and processing speed, the area most vulnerable to age-related decline. The same nitric oxide mechanism simultaneously reduces blood pressure and improves cardiovascular efficiency. Beets are also rich in betalains, potent anti-inflammatory and antioxidant compounds, and contain betaine, which plays a critical role in reducing homocysteine levels. Elevated homocysteine is an independent risk factor for cardiovascular disease, stroke, and cognitive decline, increasingly common after 60. Practical preparation. Roast beets with olive oil at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 35 to 40 minutes. Beet greens are edible, rich in iron, calcium, and vitamin K, and can be sautéed as you would any dark leafy green. One clinical note. If you are on anticoagulant medication, discuss your beet intake with your physician. 1. Moderate your raw spinach, especially in large blended quantities. Cook it. A quick sauté preserves the nutrients while reducing the oxalate load. The concern is kidney stones, not joints. Moderate raw spinach is fine for most people. 2. Cook your cruciferous vegetables for digestive comfort. Roast them, steam them, stir-fry them. The thyroid concern applies only to those with severe iodine deficiency, not the general population. These vegetables actively protect you. 3. Monitor your individual response to nightshades only if you suspect sensitivity. For most people, nightshades are healthy and should remain in the diet. Cook your tomatoes for better lycopene bioavailability and reduced acid reflux risk. 4. Add garlic daily. 2 to 3 cloves, crushed and rested for 10 minutes before cooking. In moderate, consistent amounts, one of the most evidence-supported cardiovascular and microbiome interventions available. 5. Make cooked dark leafy greens a weekly staple. Cook them with a healthy fat, olive oil or avocado oil, so the fat-soluble vitamin K is properly absorbed. They contribute meaningfully to bone health as part of a varied diet that includes adequate calcium from multiple sources. 6. Add beets to your regular rotation. Roast them on the weekend and keep them ready through the week. Consistent, regular consumption is what the research supports. 6. Vegetables. The same plant foods that are protective for a younger body may need to be prepared differently or eaten in different quantities for an older one. And the ones most powerful for aging biology are sometimes the least celebrated. Cook your spinach in moderate quantities. Enjoy your cruciferous vegetables, cooked for best digestion. Be attentive to your individual response to nightshades. Eat garlic daily. Make cooked dark leafy greens a weekly fixture. Add beets to your regular rotation. These are not dramatic interventions. They are quiet, consistent, targeted adjustments to a body whose needs have genuinely changed and whose biology still responds when given what it needs. Vegetables, in all their variety, remain among your most powerful tools for healthy aging. I'm Dr. Ava Collins. I'll see you in the next one.